Come on.
Podcast City Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Death Match Russell Podcast. Let's get it on!
Come into the ring, step into the fire, see what you want, baby. If your heart has desire, get up, get knocked down. Death Match Russell Podcast, Death Match Russell Podcast, Death Match Russell Podcast.
And good evening, everyone. You're listening to another episode of the Deathmatch Russell podcast. And my guest at this time, he is the pagan psychopath himself, Sandson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for having me. So my training group, we have this little tradition before every podcast that I'm glad to say I started. Normally we crack open a seltzer, White Claw, or Trulies or whatever. But I forgot. I remember doing the podcast, but forgot to get any seltzer. But I'm gonna crack open this nice Charleston, South Carolina beer from Rusty Bull up here. So now we can officially get started.
There you go. Shit. There you go. Cheers to you.
Right,
I got stuff. Shit. I got the cheap ass. Okay. Well, I don't have a beer, but I got my Starbucks. Cheers. All right.
That'll work.
Exactly. But yeah, that does sound tasty though for a beer. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I probably can find that at the
it's
local.
It's a nice little wit beer. It's I'm definitely a big fan of craft, like local craft beers and things like that. So
yeah, Jersey has a couple like I think we have some brews like that. There's some places that are, and we're actually supposed to be opening up they're supposed to be opening like a brewery, like a new one. So
very cool,
I'm
man.
excited for that.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites up here in Charleston. So
and they just well, actually I never knew, Jersey down there's what is it, Asbury Park, New Jersey actually has like a whiskey bar. They actually make a distilled whiskey,
very cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. You never know, you're right. Even a wine and all that other crap too. But I don't care for the wine.
Yeah.
But anyway, how you doing tonight? Pretty good? You busy?
Pretty good. Girlfriend and I have been moving for the last week, so been a little hectic as far as moving. You can see a bunch of boxes and music equipment and stuff behind me. So I'm in our comfortable garage doing this interview. So.
Hey, you know what? Anywhere's an office, right? This is where my bedroom with a sheet above my bed. Above you can be cheap for a podcast, If everybody says, "Oh, I got one of these fancy studios with all this padding around me," I don't need that shit.
I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong.
I know.
These things are supposed to look into the real lives of us as performers. So why not show you the real life?
That's it. Exactly. Man, we're actually right underway right now. It's dark time. AEW Dark starting tonight also. On time.
Yes,
realize
sir.
that? We're going to be missing. Well, I guess we'll catch it later. I guess we'll watch the replay later.
I always do.
Yeah, well, I want to say congratulations to you because I've seen some pictures of you with the Academy there at the Nightmare Factory. Not Monster Factory. There is a Monster Factory in New Jersey, though. But no, I want to say congratulations.
So fun story about that if you want to hear it. The reason that the Nightmare Factory got its name is before it was the Nightmare Factory, it was QT Marshall and Glacier, and they had the One Fall Power Factory.
I remember that.
It was the Glacier was trained at the WCW Power Plant, and QT was trained at the Monster Factory up there in Jersey. So they just combined them, and you had Power Factory. So it was kind of it's kind of the Monster Factory. I've never been to the Monster Factory, but I've talked to the head trainer and stuff there before, and they feel like extended family, just like the Rhodes Wrestling Academy out in Dallas. They feel like extended family because it's all part of where we kind of came from. So
yeah, that's where they do that show out of. I was noticing they do their show out of there, right? Because they travel, that little training school. Well, that's pretty cool. It is cool. Have you been out there or no? Have you ever?
No, I have not made it. I haven't made it up to Jersey yet for the Monster Factory.
No, to the Dallas fact.
No, I haven't been out to Dustin's place yet either. I've met some of his students, and we've got a little beef going on Twitter because they seem to think they're the better facility of the brothers. So we're always willing to put the name of the Nightmare Factory out there against them whenever they want to. So we've been trying to get a joint show together and just do something big where it's Rhodes Wrestling Academy versus the Nightmare Factory. So
that'd be kind of interesting. Yeah. As you dominate it and take over, right? But growing up, what was it like for wrestling? What like for you as a kid growing up? Thinking about
so I grew up in the Monday Night Wars era, so I'm a little older. Goldberg and Sting were my guys growing up. It wasn't until a little later in life that I would eventually learn to appreciate the worker side of it, guys like Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko especially. I was even a huge Dean Malenko fan back in the day. And then later on, I kind of stopped in high school and concentrated more on football and baseball, lacrosse, 9,000 different sports. And then discovered, but kind of kept an eye on it with Ring of Honor through back in the day. Tape trading was a thing. For those of us that are older than 20, you know what that is.
Yeah, order tapes, right? DVD
right.
tapes.
Well, we had at least matured back then to DVDs, so they weren't necessarily like VHS tapes, but
I know.
Same concept. But I discussed. Somebody gave me I can't even remember, and it's terrible. But I can't even remember which Ring of Honor show it was. But it was the main event, I believe, was Samoa Joe and CM Punk, and just seeing. Because I didn't know a whole lot about New Japan at the time, but just seeing how big,
how big that they were.
Yeah, just seeing how vicious Samoa Joe was, and then just seeing CM Punk as a person just kind of drew me back in. And then when he jumped to, I followed Joe into like TNA and discovered a bunch of cool things about TNA with Christopher Daniels and Jay Lethal, those kind of guys, and then followed, CM Punk to where he, the whole Summer of Punk angle was incredible. Jump ship to WWE, so I found myself back to watching that big product, and then just kind of fell back in love with it throughout those years. So it's been an up and down story for me.
I'll tell you what, CM Punk's career really, and you look back, and these guys really, Joe, of course. They've had some good battles in the past. Like people don't realize if you look back at the Ring of Honor and in Jersey All Pro Wrestling is actually another base that both were stable at for. Well, Joe was more, and Joe and Jay Lethal actually were more of the stable guys there.
Right.
But
I meet a lot of people down here from the Lethal Academy, which is Jay Lethal's school down in Tampa, especially when I was, because I'm a native Floridian, so growing up or coming up in the business and meeting all those guys that trained with Jay Lethal and all that was pretty cool. So
I'll tell you what, Jay's his career really launched when he was just like a nobody. He was just Man, and he still has that place up in Union City, I believe, that he wrestles out of. I can't EWA or something like a cheap promotion that he first got his foot. Still got his foot in the ground. You know, I think they still do shows once in a while. Yeah,
right.
It's amazing. But he's out there doing his thing, man. Just
Absolutely.
you know. And now it's like time to see what you guys are the new generation of talent to walk through and to see what you know.
Yeah, man, it'll be fun to see how there's a couple guys that I trained with that are already kind of tearing up the scene. So it's a fun time, and the business itself is supposed to be fun. So we just try and
that's what exactly it's all about, fun and just get your name out there.
Right.
I mean,
and I've actually been asked a couple of times to do death matches, and
really,
it's not my speed like at all.
No, it's like you gotta step. It's like these younger guys like AJ Gray or this Roderick Cole Radrick. These guys are new to the scene of it. Like they're just they're dabbling in it.
Right, and I respect anybody that is any kind of into deathmatch or anything like that. It was just never
like this guy was Sonic, Shit, he was on AEW. Who knew you went on Wrestling Gone Dark that one night,
Right. But and the king of deathmatch is Nick Cage.
Yeah,
was on was on Dynamite.
I know, right? Was that surprising to see? Like, I remember that the Jericho him angle. Oh man, that was great. That was a good publicity at the time.
Yeah, I'll admire the people that do it, and I'll keep my
job. That's like John Moxley, because he's one of those guys who's been around that scene and knows what it's like from the Combat Zone days in IWA Mid South. The Mid South really took a lot of those guys. Even Punk too. Think about it. They all went through those doors at Ian. Yeah.
There's an art form to it for sure.
There really is. It's come a long way, but but besides that, the wrestling is phenomenal nowadays. It's really like you see. I'm sure you notice there's a Game Changer Wrestling is a big,
of course,
big forte for the mixing up the styles of wrestling as well. Right. Even martial or Bloodsport, with Josh Barnett. Holy shit!
Yeah, right? Bloodsport's something I have a martial arts background, so I'm a black belt in Shotokan karate. I've studied Muay Thai, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, all of it. I'm enamored with combat sports. So that's Bloodsport especially. It's like, well, this is fun.
The first time
this whole body will hold up, but damn it, it looks fun.
No, the first time I heard about it, I was like, "What the hell is this shit?" And you watched it. You look on the TV for Game Changer Wrestling presents Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. You're like, "Holy shit!"
Did you ever watch the movie Bloodsport? That's exactly what it
is. Yeah. With what's his name?
Where's he gone?
Yeah, but then you saw like Moxley and Suzuki, Monaro. Monaro, Suzuki.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned him, because he was another huge idol of mine, and to know that tonight Minoru Suzuki is going against my coach is just kind of like it blows my mind right now.
Yeah, to see him go, because really, you think about it, QT really never. Actually, he's wrestled. He's had a couple Japanese guys, I think, in the past. I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, he's got a storyline going with New Japan Strong right now, with him in the factory against the LA Dojo, which is New Japan's dojo in LA has their own faction, I guess. So it's very interesting, and it's really. QT doesn't get enough credit, and I think he's starting to. But even before I was trained by him, I noticed that he's just he really is, like, when he was on the independent scene, he used this moniker, God's gift to wrestling. And it really wasn't a gimmick. Like, he is just that good in the ring. Like, he could make a mop look good. Like, he's so talented, and it's awesome to see him getting the credit.
So let me ask you this: what got you interested in? Well, after that, before, like we were talking wrestling. What was your very first like an independent show going to, or like finding out about, like, I'm going to go with my friends to a local wrestling, at 10 years old or 20 years old, or,
So when I was about 10, like early adolescence, I had gone to, like, my 10th birthday. My mom took me to a WCW Monday Nitro. So that was like my first live event. And I think it was Goldberg's like 115th win or some shit like that. I don't remember. But yeah. So other than that, I had gone to like some TNA shows when I was in high school.
Yeah, the high school. The house shows that they would do at the local.
Right.
Local.
And I'd gone to some WWE house shows and stuff throughout there, but being in Florida, like, Ring of Honor really hadn't started coming down, so I really didn't get to see Ring of Honor. I didn't honestly know much about the independents.
Yeah, I wish, but also FIP too. If you knew where the FIP was running, that was it.
Oh yeah. One of the guys that is actually a huge mentor to me, John Davis. He's I don't know if he's current or former now, but last time I talked to him, he was the FIP heavyweight champion. So FIP I'm very familiar with. Yeah,
I know. I remember that. Like, I remember that promotion really took off for quite a while. Yeah.
And then it was actually about actually probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, I thought about getting into the wrestling industry, but being a little older, I didn't know if my body would hold up to actual in-ring competition. So I actually started in the wrestling business as a journalist, as a write-ups guy, and found a company. I was living in Jacksonville, Florida at the time, where I'm from, and the promotion there, the United States Wrestling Alliance. I reached out to them and started working with them. So that's kind of been like they have a show this weekend, the 30th, down there in Jacksonville. So if anybody listening is in Jacksonville and wants to go to a good wrestling show, it'll be
go check it out.
Yeah,
go check it out.
But yeah, it's that promotion was actually probably the first like true independent show I'd ever gone to. So that was probably about 6 years ago now. So it's been fairly, in the wrestling industry, it's been fairly recent. So, and now saying it out loud, it's like, God, that sounds terrible.
It's like, it's like I always tell people growing up, man, wrestling was popular at the East Coast here. When I was a kid, I was spoiled. I was spoiled because I'll tell you what, and back in the mid 80s was NWF wrestling, National Wrestling Superstars. The wrestling superstars rolled around. Bruiser Brody inside a cage. Like, Dr. D. David Schultz. Come on, man.
Yeah. I used to hear stories from my grandparents about the old Florida Championship Wrestling, or wrestling from Florida, or something like that. They used to do a show in the old Jacksonville Coliseum every Thursday night, like clockwork. And my grandmother would tell stories about like seeing Ric Flair get a cigar put out on his arm as he's exiting a match, and I'm just like, good God.
Yeah.
It's though that's kind of it's definitely it's popular all over the place, but it's like here in the South, it's, especially once I got into the business, you have different pocket areas, obviously, because it's the territory days are kind of done, but it's still not done, if that makes any sense, because it's all different. QT would say different flavors of ice cream. So here in the South, it's very much still traditional wrestling.
It is.
People, whether they actually believe it's still real or not, they suspend their disbelief that it is real. So if
That's
you're
like
not doing something,
that's like if you go to a New South or like those, a couple of promotions like that, and Action Wrestling, or just other promotions that are,
right, exactly.
it's old school. It's
right. Right. And then you've got, you go up to, I've got a couple of training partners, shout out to Brandon Gore, Trevor Outlaw, JDX. They're all from that Midwest area. And there's a running joke that's like super Midwest Indy is kind of how it is up there. Like there's a lot, you got to have great ring cardio to wrestle up in, up in the Midwest. So they'll run you ragged up there. But so it's a different, it's kind of, you go out to California and it's a completely different vibe. You go up to where you are in the Northeast, it's a completely different vibe. You go to Texas, different vibe. It's just
different. Texas is like really like a new state for people to really go and be like, wow. Because like I say to people, go check it out, man. I'm hooked and I want to go see local wrestling,
Right.
Like you see all these guys and you see Thunder Rosa doing her promotion with the females.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, Mission Pro, like that's something special for.
Shout out to the Renegade Twins and Kylan King from Mission Pro. Renegade Twins are great. Like
her daughter. So hey, it's insane.
Yeah,
it's but they just put a product on and that was pretty. Actually, I'm glad that they got like a chance this year for WrestleMania weekend for like the Game Changer to put them on that collective big WrestleMania stage.
Yeah. Would they run like 6 shows WrestleMania week? Game Changer did.
Yeah. Plus Bloodsport.
Yeah. That was insane.
They always do that. They can, and they don't stop. Like it's like they just got back from Detroit like last week. Like
right. There's an old running joke with us as wrestlers when you go over the time that they give you and you come to the back. Oh, sorry, brother, they were hot, and that's what Game Changers got right now. It's just keep running shows, man. They're hot. Why would you stop running shows if they're continuing to draw? So
and also letting like Effie also give a chance for those guys of your students, at more of your guys,
right?
At the factory. I mean, we had they love Kid Bandit. They liked him.
Oh, everybody loves Kid Bandit. Yeah, if you don't love Kid Bandit, there's something wrong with you.
I know, man. He's meant for like East Coast rest, like for like that kind of crowd. Yeah, for Effie's kind of for any kind of wrestling.
They're the most genuine person I have ever met in my life. Like it's not
cool.
What you see is what you get with kids.
I had him on the podcast. What a great person. I'm supposed to have his partner on, but I have to change the date.
He's a hell of a designer too. Like he
all his
cosplay, 2 t-shirt designs. Well, the 2 t-shirt designs of mine that are on Pro Wrestling Tees right now were both designed by him. Cool. So he's got a graphic design background. I mean, his mind just in 1,000 different directions. It's insane.
I know.
How they keep up with it is just.
He's the anime wrestler. He's got the
protagonist. Yeah,
they love that. That's good though. But you look at wrestlers now. Who would you love to face on the indie scene? There's so many guys. I would bet you would love there's just so much good competition out there. Really,
right? Are we talking? Because I did every year I do like a realistic goals for the next year, and I do like a top 10 of who I want to face. Which I'm proud to say in April I've knocked 2 of those people off my list so far. But my top 5 in that is probably going to be like Danhausen was at the top, but again that was before
Danhausen. He's a character, man. I had him before you. I had him before he's like well, actually, right, like when he's AIW era. Like I caught him on my podcast.
Very nice. Oh, he just looks like he'd be a lot of fun to work. I feel like I could have a great match with him. Right. Effie's up there. We talked about him briefly. I've got John Davis that I talked about earlier. Like I've done things with him in the ring before shows and like just kind of rolled around with him, but never actually had a proper match with him, which I'd love to do. He turned this ginger chest into mincemeat for sure. And then Kid Bandit's up there. Like we trained together, and I think we had like 2 or 3 matches where we tagged together.
Yeah. But
we never actually did the one-on-one thing. So he's up there for sure. And then I think I'm on a Buff Bagwell kick lately. So I think
I've seen it. Everybody wants to shot him. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I want
to take that instead of Cardona.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to get in the ring with Cardona too. Like,
he's
just somebody of both of their experiences. Like they've just both been in this business for so long that they know what they're doing and they know what's going to get the proper reaction. So,
or maybe even a Too Cold Scorpio. Ooh, he's still doing it. He's still doing it. He had a match. I think he faced Suzuki in Detroit.
Right.
They actually tore it down. I'm
those
surprised.
those 5 guys that I would love to face that are like all time wants, like maybe not necessarily attainable in the near future. I mean, you have to put CM Punk on that list. I have to put Sting on that list just because he's still active. And there's a picture of me somewhere when I was like 2 or 3 years old at a car dealership in Jacksonville, Florida, with a picture of me and Surfer Sting. So I'm like, I feel like it's just like, so Dustin Rhodes, I would love to get in the ring with him because same signing at the same car dealership. There's a picture of me with Dustin Rhodes back when he was the Natural at his WCW days. Minoru Suzuki, again,
sure. Yeah,
he will probably turn all of this into mincemeat, but I would I'd take those chops like a champ.
Moxley as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mox is up there. Mox would so I'm torn with this one because I would love to face him. I would never say no to facing him.
Yeah.
But also the night before that match and probably the week before that match, I wouldn't sleep because I would be up thinking about, my God, what is this going to do to my body?
Yeah. What am I in for? What am I in for?
And I know that like the crowd would just love it just because they love him.
They would, because they would eat it up. You would just be,
I would just be, because I got really bad ADHD, and so I would just be thinking about, my mind would just go to things that are just dumb, like how many buckets of ice am I going to need to put in my bathtub to take the ice bath after that match, and just different.
How many back things am I going to, padding straps or those little strips you put on?
Right. How many how many days off my shoot job am I going to have to take to let my back
excuse me, boss, but I can't come in today. I really hurt my back. I really had this good match with John Moxley, and
but I mean, and of course, like guys like Samoa Joe, Jay Lethal, guys I know, that I've just been watching for so long that would just be like a really fun time.
What about Lance Archer and all these, like, everybody's like,
I wouldn't turn down. Listen, I love this business so much. I'll wrestle a comic book if that's what you want me to do. Not a comic book character, but a comic book, the actual physical book. If you want me to go in the ring and wrestle that thing, I'll do it. There's very few things I would turn down. Lance Archer is another one of those guys.
Hey Colt, you still around? Colt Cabana, man. There's the classic guy, right? Like, come
There's,
on.
there's another guy I'd love to get in the ring with, Colt Cabana.
Yeah.
The man that showed me you can be funny and still get over.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, Lance Archer's another one that's just
People really don't know. People don't know. Like he's really like
his. I don't feel like he gets enough airtime in the U.S. But if you look at his New Japan stuff, holy shit!
It's out there. Yeah, he's done a lot. He's done a lot for that.
The man, I mean, he's not just a monster either. He can go.
And I'm surprised, like, no promotions really pick him up, like other independent promotions. Like, you notice Warrior Wrestling. That's about, like, I would love to see Game Changer pick him up, like just a one, you know, or any other kind of like a little promotion just to get these guys.
When AEW picked him up, it took me a minute to realize, oh shit, this is the same guy that was part of Rock and Rave in TNA.
Yeah.
Like, I had watched him for a couple of years in New Japan prior to that, and it was just then I was like, wait a minute. I think Excalibur made a comment about it or something, and I was like, oh shit, that is him.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, it's like it's kind of that. If I hadn't have followed Luke Gallows or Doc Gallows from the time that he left WWE to go to TNA, to go to New Japan, to come back, all that stuff, I probably would have forgot that I'd have pulled a Vince McMahon. I probably would have forgot he was Festus too. Like, so it's just, it's amazing to see those glow ups too. It's awesome.
It is. But like tonight, like we're seeing some new talent on AEW. You know, like there's some names I don't even know. You don't even know. You know, it's like a new person. We're like, ooh, but you know what? Let me look them up, and I could probably take them on sometime. Hold on, you know?
Yeah. That's the cool thing about Dynamite, or Dark, is that I look at some of those. Most people watch it to see. We'll call them the made wrestlers that are like they're there to win the match, like that. It's part of building them up as a character, whereas the enhancement, but I find myself more watching the quote unquote enhancement talent because I know, hey, I could probably wrestle them on a show once, or I'll probably, see them further on down the line, or, these are people I'm like, okay, I can put on a match with this person. I can have a lot of fun with this one. This one would be insane. This person and I would probably beat the fuck out of each other. Like, it's more content, man. I'm all for just as much wrestling as possible.
It is. Yeah. And then when their pay-per-views come out, it's like it builds up more, you're like, ooh, is it like, you're just like, wow, some different storylines to do, just like you enhance it in your head, and you're like, man, this is gonna be me next year sometime. I'm just gonna keep putting it in my head, I'll get, if I don't get that dust on the spotlight, I'll be on Dark. You know what I mean? Just go back to and do Indy and just be proud of,
Absolutely.
That's what I tell people. Just keep on, like Joey's still fighting himself, So what? He got let go, and Marco. Right. It's a shame, but they're still doing good for themselves,
Right. And it's a like anybody that got into this for the money did it for the wrong reasons. Like, this is not a business that you should get into.
No,
it's not.
It's not. It's. I mean, Joey's a smart person. Look what he has. He has his own spring. He does his own spring break. Like he's,
Yeah. You see Ziggy Dice doing the same thing with his Paradise shows.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Effie is a prime example of this. Effie has never signed a long-term contract with any pro wrestling company, and I guarantee you he probably never will, because I've heard him say it on interviews that he'll probably never do it because he wants to control his character, and he wants to be able to do what he wants to do, and financially he doesn't have to. He's probably making more money now than he would with a big league. He's
making money with his Twitch channel. Like, come on,
right?
Like that.
Yeah.
That's
so
like Ziggy too. Come on, it's like
Right. And that's been my whole goal from the beginning is I would love to make enough money in wrestling to make it my shoot job. This is all I want to do. And then eventually when 8 or 9 years,
do the old tie up, retire the boots, and put them in the ring like Triple H.
and in the next 7 or 8 years, start coaching, training the next group of talent, and then eventually retire and just do that for the rest of my life.
That's what you say. And then I'm going to open my own school up. Open up a school and just do the training, and that's what happens.
Right. Doesn't even have to be my own school. I'll teach in somebody else's school. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Just let me come in.
I know people that have their own schools, and most of them say it's not easy to run running a wrestling school is like running a gym. And I've never owned a gym, but I've ran gyms before, and that's not easy. So
yeah. Well, you see, shout out to Cheeseburger that does it all the time. CB, he does it like constant. He puts those people to the grind. That's good though.
I don't know how Cheeseburger's done it as long as he has, but that's another guy. I've only met Cheeseburger on Twitter, and just had like brief pockets of conversation with him. And that's another guy that I would he's still at the Ring of Honor dojo, correct?
Yeah,
he's still coaching
down in what do you call it? Yeah.
That's another one I'd like to go up to and learn. I'm so fascinated with just learning as much about the industry as I can. You know what I mean? I want to be able to learn the different styles. It's kind of like martial arts with me. I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu. I wanted to learn judo. I wanted to learn kickboxing. I wanted to learn karate. It's the same thing with wrestling. I want to learn.
That's like my local promotion, Titan Championship Wrestling, is run by by Magic, Monster Mac.
Okay, yeah.
Legend, guys who have been around.
Yeah.
And you should check them out. So maybe I should put a word in.
I've heard of Monster Mac.
Yes.
I've heard of him.
We've had a couple of guys just step in the door. Colby just came by this weekend. It was pretty cool. Colby Carino just stepped in. I know. We had a couple of guys. Actually, the Hunter Drake and Jackson Drake came in too. The Drake brothers.
All right. Oh yeah.
It's kind of cool to see different people come. And Jackson LaRue something. I forget his name. I don't know.
Yeah.
Logan Easton LaRue came in.
Yeah. That was a good thing about the factory is you never knew like who you would see, walk in the door. One of the first people I met, like first day, I met Jade
and a Nasty Leroy. No.
Nasty Leroy. He was there.
He's a great dude.
I feel like he lives there sometimes.
Sometimes. His head, he's a great person. His head's a little out there. He needs to focus more. He's on a kick of who I want to be on the Nasty. He needs to just focus on wrestling.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But like the first day of training, I graduated college from Jacksonville University in Jacksonville, Florida. And I say the first day of training, I met Jade Cargill. Well, apparently I had met Jade before.
Wow.
So the first day I showed up to training and I had one of these Jacksonville University
t-shirts on,
dry fit shirts on for training. And she walks in and, a couple minutes go by, a half hour or so. And she walks up to me and she's like, "Did you go to JU?" And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, first of all, nobody calls it JU unless you've graduated or gone to, JU. And I'm like, yeah, I did. And she's like, "What year did you graduate?" I was like, 2016. And she's like, "We went to school together." I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" When she first got on TV, I thought she looked familiar to me, but I thought I'd just seen her on an independent show or something. And it turns out that she played basketball at Jacksonville University, and she graduated 2 years before I did. And while I was at JU, I played drums for the pep band. So I was at every basketball game. So I watched her play for like 2 years because we were at every men's
Wow.
game, every women's game.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it just never clicked to me. And we had
Blew your mind.
we had a good like 10-minute conversation about
Being the same people.
our alma mater. So kind of cool.
That's cool. You never know. You never. It's so weird. Like,
No.
yeah, that's awesome.
But, yeah.
That's like I always tell. It's like I always tell how my cousin designed Triple H's house.
Very cool.
In Connecticut. They don't know that it made GQ and just never knew. I always say, yeah, I know people in the business. Other businesses, and I would have had tickets and all, but I only got was a WWF hat.
Right.
The old logo.
Wow, I couldn't even get you the new one. Oh, come on.
No.
Yeah. I don't know if you know a lot about like 80s WC or 80s WWE, WWF at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But did you happen to know of a wrestler from the 80s named Sandy Beach? His real name is actually oh god, now I can't remember his real name. Who's the drummer from Def Leppard? He has the same name. Anyway, doesn't matter. Well, he went to high school with my mom and was good friends with my mom in high school, and so I remember seeing him around campus because I went to the same high school, and I remember seeing him around campus because by that time he was only in the wrestling business for maybe 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. He had an extra appearance in No Holds Barred, so he's in there somewhere.
Oh man!
But he had his own like security company. Mm-hmm. So after he left wrestling, he got into security, and so it's just that somehow everybody knows somebody in the business. Like you may not know that you know them, but you know somebody in the business.
Yeah. I was going to tell you also, for me growing up on wrestling, like Iron Mike Sharp ran a school in my hometown, my town of Brick Township, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
At the time. In the mid 80s, like when X-Pac was there as 1, 2, 3 kid.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Like, and you would see Nova from ECW, The Wall, The Wall from WCW.
Right.
It's just amazing, man. It was just like an era of wrestling. People didn't $5. I would go watch him wrestle. Like, come on.
Yeah.
On a Saturday night.
The gym one of the gyms I used to work at in Jacksonville was it was the gym that all of the wrestlers decided to go because they had like 12 locations in town. Mm-hmm. And on days I would be working, you would just have random wrestlers come through. Mm-hmm. If WWE was in town or anything like I think I have the Shield's autograph before they were like really blown up. So somewhere I've got like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose's autograph. I think Ryback was there that day too.
Oh man.
He was Wade Barrett at the time, but Stu Bennett, fantastic guy. Asked me to spot him. It was great. He didn't need the spot, but so it was always really cool to see, because then to segue that the owners of those gyms, because it's like 3 brothers that own those gyms. They had, if you went into their office, they had pictures of them with all those big wrestlers from the 80s, like Hogan and Lex Luger and all the the bodyguards, Ric Flair, all of them. They had pictures of them there with the typical, hey, shake my hand and take a picture so I can put it up in the gym somewhere picture. But yeah, it's you never know where you're going to meet them or who you're going to meet. So it's pretty.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Like you don't know, like it's like you just walk down the street and like me growing up, like ECW, or like I worked 18 years old working in a dollar store, and here comes Balls Mahoney walking in, as I'm stocking shelves,
right.
Not knowing what ECW was at the time, really, just and I became good friends with him.
I saw Teddy Long like hauling ass through the Atlanta airport once. Like 8 years ago. And of course, I didn't stop or take a picture or anything because he looked like he was in a hurry. But it was really one of those moments where I was just kind of listening to music and looking at my phone, and I'm like, "Holy shit, that's Teddy Long!" So you just never.
It's like a celebrity or something too, you know. Like you can,
right.
So many stories like I could tell you with that. I love telling stories. It's like when I New York City, of course, popular for celebrities. I'm sitting at the Planet Hollywood, and here's behind me. I'm hearing somebody say something, and it was the Damon Williams from In the Living Color.
Oh wow, nice. Very cool.
It's just like it's just wild. Whoever you meet, it's like, oh, the Bonfiuco family. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I met them at the town hall, the Plaza Hotel. I'll never forget that. Seeing him and his wife. Like, but wrestler wise, or appearances. I actually was in the Wrestler movie.
Okay. Very cool.
And I wish I stayed outside a little bit longer to have a cigarette, and I would have had a cigarette with Mickey Rourke.
Very cool.
Instead,
I got to meet his. I got to meet another like WCW guy at the factory, obviously, because it's Ernest the Cat, who was, if I remember correctly, he was Mickey Rourke's opponent in that final match, right? Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, for that Ring of Honor shot down at the Hammerstein. Yes, the Hammerstein. They made it look like it was They used the Ring of Honor ring that night. I heard or something for that.
Yeah. That I think that's the same ring that is in the Nightmare Factory right now. I think they're trying to sell it. But.
Oh really? Yeah. Wow.
It's one of the older Ring of Honor rings. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but now you got Ring of Honor, so hey, Ring of Honor's Ring of Honor. We need the library. They better put that library out there. I'll tell you what. I want to see some of the stuff that the earlier stuff.
Yeah, I can't find those DVDs anymore, so I got to see those matches.
I know. I look at my
YouTube's quality.
I look at my drawer and I still have DVDs from way back when Ring of Honor was real popular. When PWG was popular, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Now that was remember when that really was like took off, then it stopped.
I was only able to see like the stuff they put on YouTube as far as PWG goes, but that's another thing again that I would have to figure out some kind of way to do something because there's no way I'm that athletic. Out there. Yeah. You're not going to see me do the stuff that Ricochet does. You're not going to see me do.
No. Kevin Owens split, or dive, or
I might be able to do a Kevin Owens dive, maybe, but who knows?
Yeah,
these knees are starting to crick a little more than normal nowadays. But
yes, the age kicks in. I know it.
It does, man. It does. It comes. What was the story? What was it? Death jobs to no one. So that death's not going to put you over.
No. Do you collect anything? You a collector? You collect any of your or music, comics, any kind of? I know you're music. You're like into nothing.
Yeah, shot glasses. I collect shot glasses, which is weird.
That's cool. Cool.
I used to collect music equipment, but I've had to downgrade a lot recently. Hats was probably my big. I collected hats.
Right.
I spent 6 years like in high school and after high school managing a hat store, like a Lids. Hats were a big thing for me. I don't know, man. It really depends on, because like I said, real heavy ADHD. So I go through these hyperfixation periods.
I know.
So it really, for a time it's hats, for a time it's shoes, for a time it's, I collected beer bottles for a minute.
I did that too. I've had that in the basement. I think that's still in my basement somewhere in a box. I gotta find it. But no, I collect figures.
Very cool.
wrestler figures, and
Right.
just odds and death match stuff. Like
Yeah.
hard to find stuff in Japan.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's pretty cool. T-shirts, of course. I got tons of T-shirts.
Yeah, I've collected clothes,
Yeah.
but I don't think I meant to collect them. I think they just
No.
dragging. I just haven't thrown the ones I don't use out.
Mhm.
So my girlfriend and I tend to try and move every 2 or 3 years or so.
Mhm.
So every time we move, I just get rid of a lot more, shit that I don't. That
It's
don't
like
need
it's
anymore.
it's like, do I need any more wrestling shirts?
Right.
Mm.
Well, it's
Do
more
I
like.
re-
Right.
Yeah.
This past time I had to get rid of a bunch of shirts because I've gotten bigger. So my large T-shirts don't fit me anymore.
Yeah.
I've bulked myself into an extra large. So I'm
Mhm.
like, all right, well, I got to get rid of all of these large T-shirts because I'm sure as hell not getting back into a large T-shirt ever in my life.
Yeah.
At
No.
least not anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's as a fan of wrestling, man. We collect. I'm sure as a fan as well. Before wrestling, you're like, all right, do I have this shirt? Do I have that shirt? I need this one.
Oh,
It's
I can give you one. Recently, I've gotten into it. It is T-shirt collecting, I guess, but it's more so T-shirts of like the indie wrestlers that I'm friends with. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not. I'm Trevor Outlaw, TSF, one of the tag teams from the Nightmare Factory, BGU, which is another great tag team from the Factory. Just really, if I'm at an indie show and whoever I'm working has a cool shirt that I like, I'm just like, hey, here you go.
Yes, we'll swap shirts today. Here you go.
Right. And if I can, I've always been one of those people that, just because I want their shirt doesn't necessarily mean they want my shirt. So I always give people the option, like, if you want to swap shirts, we can do that or not. If not, I'll just buy the shirt because I really dig the shirts.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you kind of get, because it gets rough on, especially with the smaller indies, shindies that people call them.
Yes.
Where you're only getting paid 30-40 bucks sometimes max to wrestle the show, but you just drove 5 hours the rest of the show, and it just so happens that this venue, even though they brought 60 to 100 people, which isn't bad for an indie show, none of those people want to buy merch.
No,
so nobody buys merch. So it's just like, you could probably use the $15 for that shirt more than you could use my shirt. You know what I mean?
Might as well just leave it in the back of the truck and just
right. So
now you put it out.
It's kind of one of those things where you try to help the other wrestlers as much as you can.
We support each other,
Right. And for too long, this industry has been about people trying to keep their spots and people trying to politic their way to the top, and that stuff still happens, but at the same time, it doesn't need to. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to happen. There's so much wrestling out there, and there's so many promotions, and there's so much money for everybody to get over. Like, we don't need to, chop each other down at the knee just to, make ourselves feel taller.
And I'm getting a kick out of it right now. And I'm gonna actually buy one off of him when I see my friend's son, John Wayne Murdoch. His son, Blake, actually put out bum merchandise, like
nice.
Bum.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna support. Yeah, because it's a great little fanny. He's got fanny packs. Come on, like he's like a salesman. He's great.
I've mentioned him twice now. He loves getting this rub, but he recently started.
What's that?
He recently just started putting out shirts that say PHU with the little 2 dots on it and a Q. I mean, the shirt says fuck. You can clearly see it says fuck.
Yeah,
and
you're allowed to curse on here, so you're good.
As soon as he posted those shirts, I was like, I have to have one. Like, I'm going to walk around everywhere with a shirt that just says fuck and just a unclear spelling of the word. But so it's some people, especially on the independent scene, man, people are just so creative. And so,
They are.
Even in, the big contracted situations, there's still those indie guys that are so creative, and it's there's I don't
just keep on putting it out there. Put it out there. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't think people nowadays that have been in WWE or AEW, I don't think they're too worried anymore about not getting re-signed or getting let go. Or, I mean, I'm sure as a human you have those emotions and you have that, oh fuck, here I go again. But with there being so much wrestling out there and so many other platforms to do, you look at so many of the guys in, well, we'll say WWE because I just know some of them off the top of my head. But you've got guys that,
have been there.
Like Drew McIntyre. He gets fired, goes back on the independent scene, does his things. They bring him back. Like, it's become that thing where it's almost like, look at Matt Cardona right now. That man never has to work for a signed company ever again.
He has his own damn toys. God damn it!
You talk about a wrestler that before there was Twitter, before there was Instagram, before there was TikTok, before he was the first like wrestler to have the internet community, like,
I know, behind his back.
He's already had that niche, so he knows what he's doing.
Because you got to remember, he was a part of that Wrestle Pro community or something.
Right.
Wrestle was a big thing for him. I remember that because that's where Mark, Sterling guy.
Yeah. Wrestle Pro is another one that I've been. My girlfriend and I have been trying to get back to Alaska, and so Wrestle Pro has been doing a bunch of stuff up in Alaska. So that's one of those promotions where I'm like.
Yeah, Kevin. Shout out to Kevin. Shout out to Kevin for doing that because he pulls them guys and brings them. Brings everybody.
I don't think what people realize either about how much of a stressful situation that is. I don't know if it's the same now, but 4 years ago when I checked, there was one wrestling ring in the entire state of Alaska. One. Yeah. And it was in a training facility called 907 Wrestling in Anchorage, Alaska.
I heard that. Yes.
I don't know if they brought in other rings or not since then.
I think they used the same one over and over, but that's good.
One ring.
But hey, do it though. But it's cool because you know why? It's just a ring. Because I guess there's no welders or I don't know, like no baby.
Well, it's so hard to. There's a lot of places up there that you can't get to by road. Like you have to fly.
Yeah.
Like you have to take a bush plane. You have to take a helicopter or something, like even helicopters or how those things defy physics. I don't know how they stay in the air, but anyway. But yeah, so I mean, it's just not an easy thing to do, I guess, with the material.
No, yeah. They could do it. Well, who knows? Maybe they will one of these days. You never know. But they do put on some good shows. I mean, they do that one at that Harley Davidson shop is pretty badass. That's pretty cool. That packs out a crowd. You can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
Oh, yeah.
When they,
Oh yeah, and I've been probably to a lot of extent bugging the shit out of whoever owns Wrestle Pro. Trying to get booked. This is the Alaska show. I just want to get booked for the Alaska show.
Kevin, are you listening? Kevin, are you listening? Come on, Kevin. Kevin Matthews, shout out to he really puts the work in for that. Really, he puts the work in and I mean his shows at Wrestle Pro. Shout out, like they're pretty good. I've never been yet. I will one of these days go back to Rollway.
One of my training partners, Michael Martinez, he and I have been talking about, trying to tag together for a long time because we're both big beefy metalheads. So, I mean, hell, we'll make the same trip to Alaska. We'll do whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
Give us a call.
Yeah. what kind of current movies music wise? Let's get back to what we're talking music. I switch it up now. This is the way about this is freestyle podcast.
There you go.
No limits, right?
Right.
But you got. I don't like those guys that are just really like, oh, WWE, WWE, you know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, man. No, left to my own devices, I'll ramble for a long time. But yeah, no, I'll answer whatever music questions you got, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. What are you currently into? What's your go-to? What's your music?
So I'm a big like hard rock and heavy metal guy. Not to say I don't. I listen to everything. So basically, just whatever.
I'll tell you what. I'm on a rinse. I'm on a Lars Fredrickson kick right now with that.
Okay.
With his new song that he did for Game Changer down in San Francisco. I can't think of the name of it. It's called. I'll send it to you. But fucking kick-ass tune. It's like.
Okay. I'll have to. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that.
I'll send it to you.
Right now, I'm excited. I've been a big fan of Coheed and Cambria my whole life. Since for the last 20 years, I guess. They've got a new record coming out next Friday, which I'm ecstatic for. It's going to be like their 10th album or something like that. And the fact that a band is still going and putting out new music after 20 years is insane.
That's like Lars, still going out there doing his thing. Like he's on tour still. Like he's still Rancid's doing his thing. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, man.
It's like Wheatus. They're still going around. Come on. Like you think of Nate Webb, you just think of Nate Webb. Like that was his entrance and good friend. That's pretty cool wrestling story there with Nate Webb and with Brandon. Of Wheatus, like how they got themselves addicted to each other, and I mean, friends for life. Yeah,
man. Yeah, Coheed and Cambria is the big one for me. Bullet for My Valentine has been another big one lately. When I was growing, again, same thing with like collecting is kind of how I am with bands. Like one of the first bands I ever remember being obsessed with was Iron Maiden. And then it kind of went to, bands like Linkin Park early on, Breaking Benjamin, A Day to Remember, which is a local.
You remember what was your last concert you went to? Woohoo! Oh man!
So here's the thing. I'm part of my shoot job is I'm a stagehand. So I work with the IATSE union, which is just the stagehands union. And the last concert I was actually at was this past Saturday night. I got to break down and load out the Zach Brown band. So that was kind of cool. I listened to, being from the American South, I listened to some, country, but that was wild, man. It was at a tennis stadium, which I had never been to before. So that was kind of cool. I think prior to that, the last actual concert I went to, it was a Coheed and Cambria concert back in October on their cruise. They did a Coheed and Cambria cruise, which had bands like Thank You Scientist, Taking Back Sunday was there the first day. That was probably the last concert I was at, which is ironically pretty funny because we were talking to the crew first or second day, and they were telling us as we're sitting there drinking before we leave port, they were like, yeah, we just got back from another cruise. It was like a wrestling cruise. And I almost spit my drink out because I just started laughing. Apparently, so we left Monday, but apparently the day before we left, the Jericho cruise had come back into port.
Yes.
So it was literally the Jericho cruise came into port. They everybody got off Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning. They cleaned the boat. Yeah, or maybe it was Saturday, but they spent a day cleaning the boat, and then we got on it for the Coheed and Cambria cruise. So it was just from then on, the whole day, I'm looking at the big area where the stage is, and I'm like, there was a wrestling ring right where I'm standing here about 48 hours.
You're like, shit, I could have been on that one instead. Shit.
Yeah,
I would have been listening to Fozzy. Come on.
right.
Shit.
Oh, I've heard again with
Yeah.
being a stagehand. I've heard Fozzy a million times because we would always be stagehands for the Rockville concert, the Rockville Festival over in Jacksonville, and for a solid like 3 or 4 years in a row, Fozzy was there every time that festival came around. So I've seen Fozzy play a lot.
Yeah, so you don't need to see him every.
Oh yeah, and it's so just like wrestling though. It's so cool to see bands make that progression too, because the first time I saw them play at that concert was like 1:30 in the afternoon, and so they were like the third or fourth band to go on. And I think the only reason they got that high up on the card was because, I mean, Chris Jericho's their singer. But then you see them, 2 years later, and they're playing at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're on like the next bigger stage. And
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. Like it's like me and like Game Changer Wrestling when it first they did their very first rock festival, wrestling rock festival, and it was actually at my local stadium, like a baseball stadium, right?
Okay.
Wrestling was there and concerts. You had a whole bunch of tens of concerts. You had Poison, or no, you had Alice Cooper, Megadeth, or like a whole bunch of other. So it was piss poor raining out, right? I like telling the story how my dad and I went to the wrestling. Nate Webb's out in the ring. I have to support Nate Webb, or not. Wait, no, Nate Hatred, Nick's partner. Nate Hatred, right? And he's wrestling out there. And my guy, the wrestler, I was playing film guy too, like Facebook Live. I actually found it.
Right. Yeah, been there, done that. Yeah.
My guy told me, hey, you want to go see Alice Cooper for $40? I said, Dad, what do you think about this? Let's go see Alice Cooper. So we got tickets, we got some rain ponchos, we went and jammed out and saw him on stage. Blew my mind, never to see it, like all the props and the music, fantastic job. Like, and then the last concert I remember going to also was, the Game Changer did one in like South Jersey somewhere, and or North Jersey, and I guess Drew Gulak was so was still doing his thing on the indie scene, and they had like more tense setup with music, and Stone Temple Pilots was there, dude. I got to see him I got to see them play before the guy died. Like, I know, isn't that wild? Like
that's
right
awesome.
Before.
Yeah, I never got to see him with STP, but I saw him a couple times with Velvet Revolver.
But I've seen Daughtry so many times too. I've seen
Daughtry's another one.
I've seen like I did like the Live Earth concert, like that was crazy down at the Giant Stadium with like all the bands to like Roger Waters to all the people who made TV and just like crazy bands, AFI, dude, CM Punk's band played. That song played. Missy Cartera played, and I was like, I know this track. At least something is wrestling related tonight for me. I had to feel it.
That's the segueing that with it. So AFI is the only band that I haven't seen that CM Punk has used music for. I haven't seen them live, but I pure accident. I saw Living Color at. They weren't supposed. Again, it was that Rockville concert, I believe, and they weren't supposed to be there, but they had filled in for one of the bands that had dropped out for a couple of dates. So I saw them, and it was almost like at the height of. It had to be like 2010, 2011. So it was 2011, 2012, right at the height of CM Punk using that song, and I didn't realize they were there because I had just gotten off of helping one stage and was done for the day. So I was walking over to the main stage, and as I'm walking over to the main stage, I shit you not, at the exact same time, all you hear is that opening riff Cult of Personality, and I'm walking to this stage, and I could feel myself. I didn't subconsciously know it, but I could feel myself going from walk to speed walking to full on running for this stage. And I got to see him perform that song live. And then
awesome.
The year after, or actually it's probably 2 or 3 years after, Kill Switch Engage was.
I got another story for you too. Music on two more stories of music for you.
But Kill Switch Engage was playing on one of the other stages, and it wasn't. God, I can remember his last name, Howard, but I can't remember his first name. Maybe Howard was his first name.
Yeah,
but not that singer that sang This Fire, but their new singer, whoever they had at the time. And again, that opening riff hits, just that the drums and everything, and I was just like, this is insane. I don't think they've played. I didn't think they had played that song live in years, but it was just one of those things. It was right place, right time, and it's just kind of holy shit. So I haven't seen AFI play yet, but I'm sure I'll have the same reaction.
All right, I'll tell you two more. I'll tell you two stories, and I like telling the story about this one. New Year's time, my sister had a party at her house in Pennsylvania, and my family, my dad and my sisters, everybody's all there, sitting around. Everybody's out partying, having a good time. Well, I walk into the kitchen, and there's this guy and his young son, and his son was getting hungry for some cherries, Bing cherries. Well, guess what? I was like, I could go for some cherry pie. It was CeCe DeVille of Warren.
Nice.
Hanging out. Just isn't that awesome? Like yeah.
That's awesome, yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm poisoned too. No shit. He had the poison shirt on. Isn't that wild?
That's awesome.
To be around him, he didn't play any music. He was just chilling,
Yeah.
He's a friend of a friend,
Yeah, one of my. Well, give me your second one, and I got a story for you.
All right, my dad crashed a Madonna party one year.
That's awesome. Yes, now that's backing up. Thanks. So
no, actually, go ahead.
So my one of my best friends in Jacksonville is Alan Collins' nephew. Alan Collins being one of the original guitar players from Lynyrd Skynyrd. That's not the story, because anybody that's from Jacksonville has a Lynyrd Skynyrd story. They're just so ingrained in that city. But the first time I met him, we were like 16, and I didn't believe him until I went to his house, and there's like gold and platinum records all over the wall, and they're not addressed to Alan Collins, because again, you can go to a thrift store in Jacksonville and find, a gold record from Skynyrd addressed to one of the band members. But they're addressed to his grandfather, Alan's dad, Larkin. And so I'm like, oh shit, these are like, he's not lying. Like, so after we both graduated high school, his grandfather invited both of us to Atlanta, Georgia, to be a part of Lynyrd Skynyrd getting inducted into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame, which was insane. A short story going with this is I met, oh God, now I can't remember his name, Shaft. Did the music for it, did the voice of Chef. Anyway, met him in a bathroom in Georgia at that same festival, because he was there to induct somebody. But later that night afterwards, we were 18 years old at the time, and decided we were in this nice fancy hotel that had like a rooftop bar, and it had a bar down below and all that kind of stuff. So we decided to go to the bar and see if we could actually like purchase drinks without being carded. So we go up and we order the first thing we can think of, which is a gin and tonic. Don't know why, just how it happened. So we order a gin and tonic. They don't card us. So it's like, okay, cool. So we walk upstairs to the rooftop bar, and Johnny Van Zant, who's Ronnie Van Zant's little brother, now singing for Skynyrd, is up there.
Oh shit!
oh God, wow, I'm so fucking terrible with names now. Keyboard or the piano player.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Keyboard
Anyway,
player. We'll just
right. Well, this is where the story goes. Is the piano player, who was also staying in the room right next to ours, sees us, and he's like, "Hey, you're Larkin's grandson and friend." So yeah, we had drinks in our hands. So they invite us over, and now we are hanging out with the members of Leonard Skinner, drinking on a rooftop bar in Atlanta for some reason.
Oh man,
and I don't think
crazy.
I don't think any of them knew that we were underage, and I don't think they cared. But it was a crazy experience.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's like being that, CC DeVille, like crazy, right?
Right.
But
I saw Tommy Two-Phone sing 8675309 on karaoke one night because he was playing the bar next to it and decided to come over for karaoke night.
Yeah, my dad's. It's like my dad's story for Madonna was like is really like interesting. Like my dad worked up in like Long Island somewhere for the night. He was up in Long Island, New York somewhere, and he went to a Mexican restaurant, and he just sat down at the restaurant, and the lady says, "Oh, Madonna's gonna be here tonight." Okay, so he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go back to my hotel, get dressed up. Maybe." She said, "Come on back." She got all dressed up and hung out with her for the night. Madonna, awesome. Like, he whipped out a business card saying, "Yeah, Shirley, I remember you from so and so back in high school. We went to school together."
Nice.
So, and then the next day, you look at the news. And she was actually signing like a contract signing for like $1 million thing for New York City.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
It is.
Yeah, you never know, man. It's such a thin veil.
But anyway, what do you say we call it a night, my friend? I think we covered a lot tonight. Let's do this again.
Absolutely.
I like to. Maybe I'll get my friend Everett to come on. He likes to. He's from Florida, Daytona. He loves cutting.
That's where the Rockville concert is now. They moved it from Jacksonville to Daytona. So.
Yeah. He's probably there right now working. No, kidding.
No.
He's a great person. I'll get you. I'll hook up with him and get a podcast one of these nights.
I'll tell you now, if he's there working, he's about 5 months early because I don't think that the festival's till November.
He's been doing Ubers on the weekends now, so I don't know. He's trying 2 jobs out of 1. I don't know. I appreciate having you come on tonight. This was so fun.
Anytime.
This is what a podcast and chill podcast, like not no $1 million questions, right?
Yeah, man. I'm sure I fishtailed onto a million different things, man.
We told different stories. No, we told stories that go different ways, and I'll talk about different promotions again because there's so many more. You probably would like. There's more in Jersey that I went to. After that, Iron Mike Sharps. We'll do it another time.
Right.
You feel like plugging anything, or you gonna be wrestling anywhere?
I don't know, man. You did a great job with the Twitter and Instagram stuff. Everybody can see it there, and they don't even have to say anything on that. That's awesome.
I wish this stream company this service would actually embed the little icons would be better for the people to see, not just this stuff. But yeah, you can follow yourself. Follow yourself.
Yeah, man. I wish.
No. Fans, check him out. No. Yeah, go check out
working
Sandson.
Yeah, I'll be in Jacksonville Saturday with USWA. I'll be back in Panama City Beach on the 7th for Freedom Force Wrestling, and then company called New Heights Wrestling out of Defuniak Springs, which is close to that Panama City area, on the 14th. Back up here in South Carolina the following week, and then at the end of May, there's a big Comic-Con type thing in Atlanta called MomoCon that I'll be wrestling at Memorial Day weekend, that Friday and Saturday, the 27th, 28th, I think. But yeah, man, I mean, if you follow me, I've got a whole calendar up there, and I'm always posting because, much to my girlfriend's chagrin, I almost have my cell phone surgically attached to my hand. Something I'm trying to fix, but alas, we're here.
Yes. Yeah. Like me, I think I'm caught up for podcast this week. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go to Atlantic. I'm actually gonna go to Atlantic City for Game Changers Prelude to Violence. Woohoo! The week before they're big, but I'll be camping. Actually, me and my old man are gonna go actually fishing up in Lake Harmony in
very
Jim
cool.
Thorpe area. Up in Poconos, Jim Thorpe area. We rented a cabin rented a nice little cabin for a couple days. Right on the water. Why not? Do a little fishing.
Yeah.
Get out and fish. I haven't done that in a long time. I had to buy the Pennsylvania out-of-state license.
There you go.
Those are expensive. I'll tell you that, man. It was like $65 for like. But I got the trout stamp. I got the trout stamp too.
Yeah, my father-in-law's on a fishing trip now that they do once a year. It's like a 10-day fishing trip they go on, and they they all have to buy, because they're all from Florida, and the fish camp itself is like right on the border, but technically it's in Georgia, so they have to buy like an out-of-state fishing license, which I guess isn't much, but they all fish a lot, so.
Yeah, I haven't fished in quite some times, but I'm a pretty good fisherman. At my local lake, I fished.
I'll tell you this: I'm not, and we can end it on this. I'm not a very good fisherman by any stretch of the imagination, but I will always go on a boat, and I will always drink, and I'll be the best at it. So,
I challenge you to that. No, see it down the shore. We could go on those charter boats. There you go.
All right.
Down at Point Pleasant, right? Down at the tourist spot, right? Point Pleasant. No, I mean, because
that works.
We're surrounded by water. Well, I'm not really surrounded by water. I'm on a hill.
There you go. You have the high ground.
Yes. But I want to say thank you for coming on, man. I'm going to see a lot of wrestling this weekend. That's going to be fun, just to see.
Absolutely, man.
There's a lot of good wrestling, and you're going to be wrestling a lot of good wrestling as well.
Right.
Different territories. That's it's a
challenge. Different territory, man.
But I
gotta get my wrestling license here in South Carolina because it's one of the states that require you to have a license. So that's something I'm still working on here. But I'll be at a show in Greenville, South Carolina, May 21st for, I think it's a company called Three Count Pro Wrestling. But going there to visit a buddy of mine and see if I can put name to face as you do in the new territory.
You got it, man. And we'll link up soon. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Thank you again.
Thank you for coming on, and have a great night.
You too, man.
Yep. I'll just shut you out. I can shut you out if you want. I don't know. I know how to do all this crap.
Right.
There you go. How's that? I want to say thank you to my guest tonight, the pagan psychopath, Sandson, for coming on tonight. Man, what a wrestler. He's around. He's one of those guys that's new to the business. Not new, but he's been around, and he's always up for a challenge. Go out and support him. One of those guys I think could be the future of wrestling, but he is the future because he has been trained by the one and only Dustin and Cody by QT Marshall, the one and only QT, and Dusty and his mentors and many more from the AEW Nightmare Factory. Excuse me. Shout out to the Monster Factory. Anyway, the Nightmare Factory. And fans, get ready for a great weekend of wrestling. Catch him at a show where he'll be in Florida and South Carolina and there in Alaska, everywhere else. Fans, thank you for listening. And the Deathmatch Russell podcast will be returning next week. Stay tuned before my little vacation. And we'll be taking a break, and I'll be breaking this weekend too. So taking a break for the podcast for a couple of days. Stay tuned. You never know who will come on the podcast next. Good night, everybody. Until next time, we talk wrestling, as always, on the Deathmatch Wrestle podcast.
You can find more Deathmatch Wrestle podcast on the following. Just hit the like button and share. You can hear the audio portion of Deathmatch Wrestle podcast on Stitcher Radio and on iTunes. Social media, Deathmatch Wrestle podcast on Facebook, Twitter at DavidNJ32, Instagram, DavidNJ36, YouTube, David C. Russell, and DeathmatchWrestlePodcast.com. Podcast City Network, your top source for independent podcasting. Be creative, be yourself. PodcastCity.net. Facebook, Podcast City Network. Twitter at Podcast City Net. Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast merchandise available. PodcastCity.net/shop. Joner's Wrestling Podcast Network. Head over to WrestlingWithJoners.com. Follow them on Facebook, Joner's Wrestling Podcast Network. Twitter at with Joner's _pod. I want to mention Collar and Elbow. CollarandElbowBrand.com. Use the promo code Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast and save 10% off when you make a purchase. Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast.